Hi there, and thank you for stopping by my channel. My name is Leanne, and I'm on a journey to read more books, read more extensively, read further genres that I've not really touched on before. And so this week I have made a bit of a dive into science fiction, and I can tell you this is not a genre that I have dealt with before, really. I think the last time I did was Blake Crouch. Oh, sugar, what was it called? Dark Matter. Was the last one I read about a year ago, and then not really anything before that. That was amazing, though. Wow, really good, really engaging. So I don't know why I haven't really kind of touched on this genre again, but yeah, I hadn't. So now I have forced myself to go into the sci-fi genre, and wowzers, I'm so glad that I did. I've taken two books to read for this week's video. The first one is Heavenbreaker by Sara. And this is an author I hadn't come across before. I'm aware that she's got a couple of series before this, but it was almost a throwaway comment on somebody else's booktube channel when they were talking about something completely different, and then they said, oh no, Heavenbreaker's better than this series, blah blah. And I thought, oh, what's Heavenbreaker? So that's when I looked this up. I am so glad that I picked up this book. Honestly, I absolutely loved it. The premise of this story is it's a dystopian futuristic tale based on a not a satellite, like a starship, a space station is the word I was looking for. I'll get there. The human race have been moved onto a space station because Earth is no longer viable as a planet for them to live on, and they are terraforming another planet, but in the meantime this is what they have to do, is live on the space station. But as per normal humanistic tale, there is class struggles, there is goodness me, multi-level power struggles, alien life and intelligence, war, the struggle for human survival, and the loss of ethics and morality as a means in order to survive in this sort of environment. It's about a girl called Sinali who was targeted along with her mother for assassination, and she happened to manage to survive. And the whole tale is her quest for judgment and revenge against the death and murder of her mother, and why this has taken place. So she embarks on this quest to essentially kill off the people that were responsible for the assassination of her mum, but it's very much done in the futuristic sci-fi environment, in a space station, with people pitted against each other, like I say, through power struggles and various other things that come into play. And wow, Sara did an amazing job of this. It took me a few pages to get into the feel of what she was getting, how the story was going to develop, and her writing style maybe. But it wasn't so much the writing style. I think it was the fact that I'm not used to the sci-fi futuristic type of genre. So when she's discussing certain things, it kind of threw me a little bit, but I got into it fairly quickly. And like I say, so glad that I picked it up. Yeah, it's so well thought out, so well written, and I would absolutely read more of Sara. I implore you to try this. If you like this genre, absolutely try this one out, because I thought it was great. The only thing is, I have now found out that the sequel, yes, there's a sequel. There's a sequel to this, and it's due out in May 2027. So I've got a year to go to find out what happens with the story. So yeah, again, I've done a few stickies for this, because there's a good few elements where not just the way something is written, but the themes and how it was tackled. Yeah, I was quite impressed with the way that she did certain things. And of course, it's got sprayed edges. Wait till you see this. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Is it just me? I'm maybe too much of a girly girl like that. I just really like when they take the extra effort to do these things with books. But anyway, so I digress. Yeah, loved this. I'm so glad I picked it up. Yes, give it a shot. Give it a shot. So that was my first one, and I was like, wow, sci-fi, I'm loving this. So I did pick up something else, and I'm gonna forget. I should have written down what it was called. If I can't remember, I will write it somewhere for you. But I did not like it. I only got halfway through it. I think it was maybe because it was a bit too much on the YA kind of younger side of things, and I wasn't really, I gave it a good shot, got halfway through it, and then went, no, I don't want to carry this on. So I just abandoned that. I had a DNF. And then I was wondering where to go. So the next book that I chose was Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card. This is the sequel to Ender's Game, which I'll admit I have not read, but I have seen the movie, so I'm well aware of what the storyline is for Ender's Game, and I was pretty confident that if I picked this up, it wouldn't be too much of a leap to understand where we were going. So I took a chance. We know what happens if, or maybe you don't. The story is based around a child that is put through military training in a game-like setting in order to tackle entities, alien entities that are a danger to the threat of life on Earth, which he does exceedingly well, only to find out that he's caused a lot of death as a result of that, which he didn't know at the beginning. So this book carries on from there. Ender is now in his late 30s, I seem to think, and it's it's like 3,000 years after the point of where the last book left off, simply because of light speed travel and where he has gone, and how many times he has jumped to other planets to do different jobs, and nobody knows that he is who he is. He's going by his real name, and yeah, the story is about him going to another planet, because there is a species on that planet that is marked as intelligent, but there's issues. There's issues between the intelligent life there and the human colony that's on this planet. And Ender goes in order to do his job and see if he can help with the situation on that planet. Wow, this author is so intelligent. It takes a bit of getting used to. His writing style is fairly dense in comparison to many books that I've read recently. Not in a really challenging way, just in a different way from what I've been reading recently. So it took me a wee bit to get into. very, very well researched, very well done. The way that he's pulled different ethical ideas in, what the different structures of life are in terms of intelligence, and each category of intelligence, and how you go about then interacting with that, and how you view them, and the philosophical debates, the psychological debates, how he portrayed this intelligent species, and how they live, and everything related to them was really quite fascinating. I had never come across something like that before, and fascinating. There was a few elements in it that I didn't particularly engage with. He does go into religion a little bit, and I can understand why, given the premise of the story. But those were the bits that I weren't particularly engaged in. Just because that's me, I'm not particularly interested in that. But it's short-lived, and you might enjoy that. But he brought in lots of different elements, and I think he did an amazing job. I don't know if I would read any more by this author myself, just because it's not particularly the type of writing style that I personally prefer. But I'm really glad that I did read it. It's well worth a read, and even just for the thought-provoking elements that he's put into this, and how you view others, and how you have empathy, and how much you can extend empathy. And he takes elements of grief and trauma and war, and there's so many different elements to it that he attempts to tackle in this book, and I think he does it really well. So yeah, I recommend it. Wasn't one of my favourite books, I have to say, but I'm so glad that I read it. So that's my 2 sci-fi novels that I've read for this week. I hope you found them interesting. Phew, is all I can say after reading both of those, because they kind of leave you a bit. They tackle heavy topics, and the dystopian nature of them just in themselves can be quite, they go for you a little bit. So I might well go for something a bit more lighthearted for my next couple of reads. So we'll see how we go. But I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have read these 2 books, please do feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of them, because I'd love to hear your perspective on these. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Etc. etc. What were your takes on them? I was trying not to give too much information away, just in case you haven't read them and want to. But yeah, absolutely loved them. I'm so glad I've gone into the sci-fi arena, and I'll definitely be going back in at some point as well, because they were fascinating. So brilliant. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks again for stopping by. Please do leave comments if you want to. Subscribe and like if you want to as well. And I hope to see you all again soon. Okay, thanks so much.